Hello once again YouTube, Chris the Nightbringer here bringing you some StarMade new in Fleetworks, and today I'm going to be talking about my new project. It's going to be a long-term project, but I think it's going to be pretty damn amazing. I hope you guys are excited, and for anyone that has played Eve, you should probably be excited just because you're getting a little bit of information from the title of the video. So I'm going to be explaining what I'll be doing. Hopefully people that haven't played Eve will understand because it's a little complicated, and it is certainly something that nobody in StarMade has done before, and I think it's really exciting. And if they have done it before, they probably haven't done it to the scale that I'm doing it, but I think it's really cool, and I think it's gonna bring a whole new level to my project. So this is why I'm doing it. I think it's time to up the ante. So real quick, I have to explain a few things about EVE Online and how things work in that game. There are 3 distinct tech levels in EVE Online for the ships, as well as the equipment that you attach to them. There's Tech 1, Tech 2, and Tech 3. Tech 1 being the most technologically simplest, and Tech 3 being the most technologically advanced of the technology in EVE. Right here, I have a Tech 1 ship. This is the Rifter. If you have seen anything Eve related at all, or yeah, anything Eve related at all, you would know this ship, or at least recognize its shape. You may know nothing about it, but you probably have seen this ship before. This is one of the most recognizable and adored ships of EVE Online, or at least the design of it is. It's not exactly the best ship ever. There are no best ships in EVE, but it is a good looking ship. This is the Rifter, a Minmatar ship. It's supposed to look all brown and rusty, of course. And this is a Tech 1 ship. Now, in terms of EVE, that means that this ship is nothing special. It's a cheap ship, it can fill a variety of roles, and it doesn't really focus too heavily in a role if it does have one. For example, this ship is supposed to be combat-oriented, but there's a few ways to approach that, and it's not exactly the most efficient or the best at providing a combat role to the battlefield. Now, if we bump it up and take it to Tech 2, there are assault frigates, for example, that I believe use the same hull, and their stats are increased, and the color scheme may be different, and there may be additional wingy bits, or some new fins, or some more engines, or some sensors attached to the side of the ship, and it's a Tech 2 ship, and it's basically better at performing that role, and they're more specialized, those ships. They perform a role very specifically on the field. For example, there are 2 assault frigates. They use the same hull, but they approach the whole idea of combat in slightly different ways, which is why there are 2 different assault frigates per race, I believe at least. So essentially they're just better ships, the Tech 2 ships. They're better at performing their roles, they have better stats. They're not, again, the best ships just because they're Tech 2, but they're better. They have a better ability to perform what they need to. Then there's Tech 3 ships. Now right here is a Tech 3 ship. This is the Amar Confessor, and this is a tactical destroyer. Now Tech 3 ships operate a lot differently. They are the most technologically advanced, and therefore they give the widest variety of capability of any of the ships in EVE Online. They can perform multiple roles because of the way they operate. Now, specifically with the tactical destroyers, they have 3 different distinct modes that can be activated at any time, even whilst in combat, that will change how the ship operates. For example, all tactical destroyers, as far as I understand, will be getting not bonuses, but speed rolls, sniping rolls, and defensive rolls. Of course, speed makes it faster and more agile, which means that when you activate the speed mode, it will be harder to hit the ship. When you activate the defensive mode, it will be harder to eat the armor or shields of the ship, and when you activate the sniper mode, the ship itself will do more damage with its guns. So this is a tactical destroyer. Every ship, or I should say every race in EVE, is going to be getting a tactical destroyer, and it is a Tech 3 ship. This is the second type of Tech 3 ship introduced into EVE Online. This is a relatively recent development, this ship right here. Kind of exciting. In terms of the rail system that's coming up, this ship will have lots of nice little rail features that I could possibly do, so I'm looking forward to that. But I will not be doing this ship because I don't believe the systems of EVE Online are, or no, the mechanics of StarMade are ready for a ship that has 3 distinct modes. It's kind of something really hard for me to figure out, so a lot more thought would have to go into that than what I plan on doing, which is the Tech 3 Strategic Cruiser. So what is a Strategic Cruiser? It's obviously a lot bigger of a ship, and here is one of them right here. Here is actually 4 of them right here. Now, in terms of EVE Online, this is all the same ship. And you may be asking, well, how does that work? Well, essentially, a strategic cruiser is a ship that you build piece by piece. There are these things called subsystems, and you pick and choose which subsystems you want in order to fulfill a specific role. For example, one subsystem allows better use of cloaking devices. Some subsystems might give you better propulsion, or better agility, or better long-range weaponry, or short-range weaponry. One might give you a boost to shielding, while another one might give you a boost to armor. And basically, you kind of assemble this ship to your whim to cater to the needs that you need of the ship specifically. And it becomes a very unique ship. And in total, just for the ship on screen, there are 1,024 possible combinations, or at least there should be. There are 5 subsystems per strategic cruiser. Each can be swapped out with 4 to 5 different subsystem options for that slot. So 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, which I believe is 1,024. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I did that math. Should be right. And that's how many potential layouts you can have for this ship. And as you can see, there are some little segments. There's little divides in the hull. These are actually all their own individual ship that I have had to import into StarMade. There's a core here, there's another core right here, there's one right here, and there's another one somewhere else for all the other bits of this ship. So this is a strategic cruiser, and this is what I'm going to be working on. The reason I couldn't do this before was because I didn't know the size of the individual systems. The models are exported through the individual systems and not a full ship, and EVE would not give me the value for those individual lengths of the individual systems, so I couldn't get an accurate estimate or value for how big these ships were. I had to kind of do it by eye, and it turned out like crap. I made a forum post a while ago that you may have seen featuring the Tengu, which is another strategic cruiser, and you could see that the shape and size and scale of the individual sections were not matching. Well, I have solved that problem. I took the files, the models from EVE Online, I imported them into Blender, which gave me an exact value, and then I imported it into StarMade through Smedit, which used the same exact value for the length or height or width or whatever was the longest dimension. And now I have all the Tech 3 subsystems for the Loki in StarMade. And it's amazing. I can't wait to start this project. So you may be asking, how exactly does this work for the player? How are you going to get 1,024 different possible ships? Well, let me just get over to a separate sector so I can kind of demonstrate that to you. And it's going to be a little bit of a trip because I didn't have a command ready to teleport me to this sector. And here we go. I am now in Minmatar space. The strategic cruiser that I am starting with is Minmatar. It is the Loki. And the reason I am starting with the strategic cruiser for the Minmatar race is because I personally think I do the best with Minmatar ships. The detailing that I do on the internals of Minmatar ships, I believe, far surpasses the capabilities or what I've expressed with other ships. I just think I do a better job, basically, at detailing Minmatar ships. So that's why I'm doing the Minmatar Strategic Cruiser first. So, how will this work? As you can see, I've started the first subsystem already, which is the electronic subsystem. That's the front of the ship. I'm not exactly sure if it's the actual bridge of the ship, but this is the electronic systems of the ship. which is things like the CPU and stuff like that. Or at least I believe it to be. I don't actually fly Tech 3 Cruiser in EVE Online. It requires far too much money and skill that I don't have. So I don't actually fly these things, so I know very little about them. But I do know that, you know, they are built piece by piece. Anyway, you can see that I've outlined the very edge of this particular hull segment in blue hull, whereas the rest of it is going to be turned green. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this block for block on the other hull segments that belong to the same subsystem. So all of these electronic subsystems that you see before you are going to have the exact same puzzle piece fit edge. Basically, I'm going to copy the blue hull to the edge of this one, as well as this one, and this one over here. And then I get to design the rest of that hull section to my whim and basically make it how I need it to be. And the only thing I really need to concern myself with is the connection to the next subsystem. And I can spawn in the next subsystem. It's scaled appropriately. It's, you know, a 100% match, or it should be close to 100% match. And basically I just, you know, kind of make a separate puzzle piece fit that matches the blue hull, so that when they are fit snugly together, they fit seamlessly, right? And that's how I plan on going about making each individual section of the hull. Eventually it's going to get to a point where I have to design the interior. That's going to be a lot harder. I'm basically going to have to separate the interior based on subsystem. You know, all the rooms are going to have to fit into a subsystem. They can't cross over. It's not really going to work if it does. And, you know, we'll have like some hallways connecting that are in the same spot for each of them. It's going to be difficult, but it's going to be awesome. And so, the final step is down to the player. They will get to choose what subsystems they put on their ship. There will be specific stats tied to subsystems. For example, certain offensive subsystems have more turret slots than others. They might provide a bigger boost to the damage of certain weapon types than others. It really depends on what subsystem you want. This is a platform where I'm designing some turrets. We're going to ignore that for a moment, and we're going to pretend that this is a platform with all of these subsystems attached to it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the subsystem, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put it on a big-ass platform for you guys. It's going to have every single subsystem on it, and you guys are going to be able to easily copy the subsystems you want, and this will be provided in a pack, right? You're going to be able to come over here to the ship core, and you're going to, for example, let's say this is the first electronic subsystem that you want, right? So you copy it, you set your little, you know, markers. I will tell you all of the information you need to know to easily copy it. There will be a little display module and a little block floating for you to copy from, so you'll be able to come down here and easily select the copyable area. It will tell you how big the copyable area should be if you want to copy the subsystem, and I'll just make your life easy, right? And then you will come to a separate core that I will release. And this core will have markers floating around it, telling you exactly where to paste the subsystem. And you will paste it directly on this little block. It will be like, paste electronic subsystem TTN here. And if you didn't know already, this is the electronic TTN wireframe. This is the subsystem that would theoretically be pasted on this block. You would paste it right there. That's how it's going to work. I will go into further detail as to how this will work in the future. I will demonstrate it a few times in separate videos when I have actually completed these hull sections, as well as the entirety of the, the ship design. It's going to be tough. It's a big process. It's something I have never seen anyone do before. It's going to be complicated. And I am so stoked to finally tell you guys that I'll be doing this. Defensive Subsystem AS goes here. You guys are going to be able to copy and paste together your own custom cruiser that I've designed. And I think it's going to be really freaking sweet. It's one thing to, download a ship that somebody else makes, but it's a completely separate thing to customize a ship head to toe in 5 separate ways with 20 different parts. And then on top of that, you get to determine what weapons and modules you place on the ships after that, when I have decided all of those things. So, that's the plan. It's a big plan, it's complicated, but it's awesome, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. One thing though, because I am doing this strategic cruiser, it is a ship size that I have never done before. The biggest ship size I did was a destroyer, which was my last release, the Amar Dragoon. Well, second to last release. I have another Minmatar destroyer here. I have another one here. I also have a few Minmatar frigates here, and some of them have even been started. This one is the one I started a long time ago and never got around to finishing because I hate this ship. Anyway, the plan is to focus on Minmatar ships almost exclusively for the next few weeks to months. This may upset some of my viewers. I know that somebody specifically wanted a succubus. I'll be completely honest, there are just some ships that I'm not prepared to take on. They've got really weird curves. I don't know how to work it yet. Maybe I'm not confident that I'll work it properly, or maybe I just don't want to deal with a ship that looks like that or does that. To be completely honest, that's how I feel with a lot of these ships. I start it and then I realize that it's got some really awkward shapes that I don't know how to translate just yet, or it's just stuff that I don't want to deal with. Really crazy shapes, like this armor plate in the back. I did not want to deal with that. You know, everything else was fine. It was 45-degree angles on this one. And, you know, I got to it. I finally brooded my way through. Brooded? I don't think that's the right word. Forced my way to finish that awkward shape. And, you know, it's just weird. It's things I don't want to deal with. This hull bit right here is really weird, and it connects with the one below it really weirdly. So it's just like stuff I don't want to deal with, which is why that's not done yet. It would be if I could handle it or wanted to handle it. It's just personal preference on what I want to build. So I will be occasionally working on other stuff over the course of time. You will still be getting ship releases. You will be getting ship releases that are not Minmatar. That's for certain, because I know for a fact that I won't be able to focus on Minmatar 100% and not go insane. So it's going to be mostly Minmatar, but it's not going to be all Minmatar over the course of the next few weeks. And basically, I have to build my way up to a cruiser. I have to determine the base stats for the smallest cruiser, so that I can make sure that the module sizes are all going to be good and stuff like that, and the weapon sizes as well, which I have done some work on. And once I am comfortable with a cruiser, I plan on doing some of the Minmatar ones. I'll be starting work on this in earnest. I'll be doing, you know, external hull and finishing the external hull up and making it look pretty, but the internal design will not be done until I have released a few of the Minmatar cruisers. So that's what you should expect. You should expect Minmatar ships, from frigates to cruisers, coming up next in bulk. I don't know when it's going to happen. I can't guarantee that I'll be making a ship each week because of this, but that's what I'm going to be doing. So I hope you guys are excited. I'm pretty excited. I think it's really awesome. I mean, just look at the shapes on these ships. They're really cool. There's just, oh, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be so freaking awesome. And they're going to be very powerful ships. Compared to my other ships, they're going to be a lot more powerful, or at least they should be. So I hope you guys are excited. I'm pretty excited. I've rambled on enough in this video. Feel free to ask questions below, because I'm sure some of you may have some questions that would definitely need to be answered. But I think it'll be good. I think it'll be a really nice change for what I'm doing. It will be something I've never attempted before, not only in terms of scale, but in terms of, you know, just the overall idea. Kind of crazy, and I'm just stoked, because this is like the coolest shit in my opinion. Tech 3 Cruisers was something I wanted to do for a while, and now I'm gonna get around to doing it. So thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Sorry if this video is long. Please stay tuned for more in the future. There are some changes to my channel that I'll be discussing soon. Leave your feedback here down below, and I will see you all next time. Hello once again YouTube, Chris the Nightbringer here bringing you some StarMade new in Fleetworks, and today I'm going to be talking about my new project. It's going to be a long-term project, but I think it's going to be pretty damn amazing. I hope you guys are excited, and for anyone that has played Eve, you should probably be excited just because you're getting a little bit of information from the title of the video. So I'm going to be explaining what I'll be doing. Hopefully people that haven't played Eve will understand, because it is one of the most recognizable and adored ships of EVE Online, or at least the design of it is. It's not exactly the best ship ever. There are no best ships in EVE, but it is a good looking ship. This is the Rifter, a Minmatar ship. It's supposed to look all brown and rusty, of course. And this is a Tech 1 ship. Now, in terms of EVE, that means that this ship is nothing special. It's a cheap ship, it can fill a variety of roles, and it doesn't really focus too heavily in a role if it does have one. For example, this ship is supposed to be combat oriented, but there's a few ways to approach that, and it's not exactly the most efficient or the best at providing a combat role to the battlefield. Now, if we bump it up and take it to Tech 2, there are assault frigates, for example, that I believe use the same hull, and their stats are increased, and the color scheme may be different, and there may be additional wingy bits, or as well as the equipment that you attach to them. There's Tech 1, Tech 2, and Tech 3. Tech 1 being the most technologically simplest, and Tech 3 being the most technologically advanced of the technology in EVE. Right here, I have a Tech 1 ship. This is the Rifter. If you have seen anything EVE related at all, or yeah, anything EVE related at all, you would know this ship, or at least recognize its shape. You may know nothing about it, but you probably have seen this ship before. This is a little complicated, and it is certainly something that nobody in StarMade has done before, and I think it's really exciting. And if they have done it before, they probably haven't done it to the scale that I'm doing it, but I think it's really cool, and I think it's gonna bring a whole new level to my project. So this is why I'm doing it. I think it's time to up the ante. So, real quick, I have to explain a few things about EVE Online and how things work in that game. There are 3 distinct tech levels in EVE Online for ships.